One of the earliest memories I have is of taking a flight, a plane ride. The first time I flew in a plane from Pathankot in India to Srinagar in India. My mother and I flew around about the time when I was 3 years old or 3.5 years old, and for some reason I was quite all right with the flight, and I did not. Children those days, especially the planes, were not very good, so they were vomiting and things like that. I was all right, and I kept on eating all the sweets which the cabin crew kept on passing to me. So then, when I follow that up with maybe around about the same time with the biggest traumatic experience of my childhood. When my father and my mother and we were going to travel in a train from a city in North India to another city, and as usual, my father, who always likes to come at the last minute into places, does not go in advance. We reached the train when the train was leaving, so he put us both of us in the first class compartment. But the train was already leaving, and he could not. It had moved off, so he could not come into the train. So I cried for the next 1 hour, and you can imagine that I cried at the top of my lungs. When the train stopped at the next station, my father, who had jumped into one of those compartments at the end of the train, he walked up and came and joined us. And that's when I calmed down, because those days there were no cell phones and there was no way of knowing. So my biggest childhood trauma was my father getting left behind and me crying out of the window of the train at the top of my lungs.
Thank you very much. It must have been a difficult time during 1 hour of the trip by yourself.
Yes. It was by my mother and I were there, but I didn't. I thought I'd lost my father. He is not going to be coming into the train. Right. So what will happen? What's the future? So the normal insecurities of a child, and then there's just one more very interesting thing which happened in 1954. When I was 4 years old, my father started losing a lot of hair, and he was a military man, so he used to do a lot of exercise every day, including, he would stand on his head, which is called in yoga. It's a very prominent function of how to deal with your body. So he thought that he was losing his hair because he was doing half an hour of standing on his head every day. But then, of course, somebody said, "Hey, why don't you try and shave your head off? Maybe it'll come back again more strongly." So he said, "All right, let me try." So he took my finger, and both of us walked down to the nearest barber shop, and both of us sat down side by side. I didn't know what was happening, and then both of us had a razor on our head. So then we went from there to a photo shop which was nearby, and this photographer took a picture of both of us with no hair, completely shaved. My father said, "Okay, let's take a picture now." And that became one of the very funny incidents of my childhood. When we came home,
that's nice.
My mother and everybody else were shocked. They said, "What's up with you guys?"